Hello, this is Christian and welcome to Unit 5 assignment. In this video, I'm going to walk through how to complete Unit 5. This is just one approach. There are many approaches. You can do however you like, but I'll show you how I would usually tackle this, okay? So our task is to refactor the Unit 3 assignment, which is the bank transaction application using functions and loops as stated here, okay? So the first thing is you want to make sure you understand what the requirements are, right? For any assignment, any problem. And it asks that we need to implement and create these functions. There's about, I think, 7 functions that we need to implement. Okay, so look at each function name and look at the descriptions and what they are supposed to do. Okay, so these functions up here, as you can see, the main and the get balance do not take any parameters, but these down here do. Okay, so make sure that is also taken into account. Unless, instruction asks you to do how you like, you are more than welcome to do that. If the instruction does not state that you need to change things, then do not do that, right? You want to follow instructions and as well. So think of it like a requirement for your clients, okay? So that's something to think about. So we're going to add a main function to be the entry point, and we're going to show a menu to deposit, withdraw, and transfer, and things like that. The get balance function is supposed to return the initial account balance as a float. Okay, so that means that it only takes one, account. Return it. If you get a savings account, then the checking account, and CD account, and so forth like that, right? And make sure you read it carefully. You need to return the account. Okay, so the function has a return statement. Now, the process, deposit, withdraw, and transfer, they're all kind of similar. The only difference between these two, the process, deposit, and withdraw, and the transfer, is that the transfer takes 2, parameters, as the other 2 are not. Okay, so make sure you follow those rules well. Here is an example of how you can actually use that in the program. You're going to pass in the checking account, which is the amount you initially have. It processes the deposit and returns the new updated account back to the checking account. Okay, and the same thing here as well. You do withdraw, then you do that as well. The transfer is similar, except now it says you're going to, as example here, pass in both the checking and the savings account, and then return both totals back. Okay, make sure whatever operation you did inside the process transfer, you have to return those data back so that they will reflect up here in the global variables. Then the print balance here, it just asks you to print a single account balance. Okay, so that's that. And then the quit function here, this one is a little bit bad. Usually we don't want to call it quit, but it's okay in this case, because there is a quit function in most Python programs already. So we're basically overriding that function, but that's fine. And we just basically put a message saying goodbye, whatever it is, to end the program. Okay, so those are the functions you need to implement. Down here, more rules. It says after each transaction, okay, you want to ask the user to see if they want to continue doing that transaction. So an example is like, once I make a deposit, then I select a checking account or savings account. I made a deposit. It's going to ask me, do I want to continue making deposits? If I do, then yes. And then it's going to ask you again to select the account and to make deposits again until you quit, right? Once you quit, then it takes you back to the main menu. Okay, that's what that means. And then the program runs indefinitely until you press quit or exit out the program. And you also want to validate all the input here. Make sure all the menus are entered correctly. If they're not valid, you keep telling them that it's not correct. Please do it again until they get it right. And here it just said that you are free to add more helper functions. So a good one is to display the menu and display any invalid entry, because you're going to see this quite a lot. It's repetitive. So and a few more if you want to do that. And again, document your code. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and go into our IDE. So here is the, I'm using Spider, by the way. You can use any IDE of your choice, doesn't really matter, but this is IDE. So this is the Unit 3 assignment, right? It's just very simple program in the one file, has no functions, okay, no loops in here, just one go and we're done, okay? So just to see how this works and run it over here on the right side, we're going to ask for a check and balance just to make sure I put a minus 100. If it's negative, it should be taken care of, right? Because it's not allowed. And even though I did not prompt a message, you should set that to 0 as you see here. We check that here, okay? And then let's say the balance of the check and saving is $50. And I'm going to make a deposit. So make it into the savings account just to show that the balance of the checking will be 0. And let's say $5. Okay, you see that the result it's not lining perfectly, but the checking balance is 0 because we can have a negative value, and then we add $5 to the savings account and the program ends. Okay, so that is what we're going to do for this assignment. Now we're going to use loops and functions, so it's loop and it runs indefinitely. Okay, so first I'm going to make a copy. Well, yeah, that's fine. We'll keep it as is. So here is what I will do. And so everything here is in the global space. So right away, I'm going to make this into a main function. Okay, you do that. And then I have to go all the way to the bottom and shift everything over 1 tab over, and then down to the very bottom, let's put here program starts or entry. And make sure you enter the main function down here. You make that call so the program runs. So there we go. We got our main functions, very broad. Okay, functions are meant to be very specific. So make sure we do that. First of all, I don't want to see all these here. So if you click on this icon here, it says maximize your current pane. If you do that, okay, it not only maximize it, it also shows you over here in the right pane all your functions. So we just created the main function that you will see here, okay? And then the more you create it here, it's going to show up. Any variable in the global space should show up here as well. So for example, if I put like test 2, I'm not sure it doesn't show up here, but usually it would show up here. And I'm not sure why. Okay, usually, I mean, other IDs would show it, but this one doesn't show it. But anyways, so we got our main function. So the first thing I want to do is do the easy one first, right? The quit example, we'll do a quit function. We'll do right here. And what we're going to say, I want to say print, I'll just comment like this. Maybe a new line, a tab, put here goodbye, and then just have fun with this. I'm going to put some emoji here. Used to do this a long time ago, like this, right? There, bye. Okay, and then /n for a new line, just give enough space, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. Again, feel free to make it neat. Maybe you can even add like a pound sign and then multiply that like something like by 30 or so. Okay, so that and you can duplicate this. I think the make it so that it looks like that. Okay, that's the quit function. Okay, and then the next thing is the checking account, right? So this is for the getting balance. We're going to move this out to a function. So call it get balance. It takes no parameter if you remember the rules. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask the user to enter some information here. Okay, so we're going to ask, let's say to account, we're going to say we need a float. So we're going to say input. I'll put a tab here just to give some space. Enter amount. Notice I did not say check an account or savings account because I want this to be reusable. Okay, well that means that when I call the checking account, it just say checking account. You are, free to be creative, but I'm just use that. And so that means when I do the checking here, I don't need to use this anymore. All I'm going to do is I'm going to say get balance, right? Call the function. It calls this function, and once it got the balance, remember I need to check it, right? I need to check 0 or not. So these two are repeated. I don't need to need both of those. I just need one. So I'm going to move this up here to make sure that the account is indeed not 0. Okay, if it is 0, then it's going to be set to, less than 0 is going to be set to 0. And then finally, I need to return the account back. So once I return it, it's going to assign and plug right into the checking account. Okay. Mistype. That's the validation part here. Very simple. And then this saving is the same. So notice you see here, the redundancy is already taken care of, right? Because I'm using a function to do that. If I add more savings account, maybe checking one, checking two, we have a CD account, it's the same idea. Okay, so that is basically for that part. So, and then the next thing is the transaction, right? Just to show that it does work, okay, we're going to go ahead and just run this for now. Just make sure it's still working, and you should test as you go. So it's just easier to check for bugs. So notice here, enter amount. I did not say what it is. So as you can see, it's a little confusing already, right? So you usually want to say something like, enter check an account or something, so that the program know what it is asking of you. So we're going to print a message here for a second. But let's say that, well, we know that the first is going to be checking. So I'm going to put here again, -10. The second is going to be 100 for the savings. And then again, if I do a deposit into the savings account, let's just put 200 here. It should be 0 and 300. Okay, as you can see, here is the way it is. Okay, so it's working fine. We did not load the quit. I should have done that, but we should not load a quit. So go back to your code here, and not this one over here. Okay, we want to show a message when we add the checking account. So I'm going to put here, let's just say fund the accounts. Okay, so I want to put here print message. Checking. I'm not very creative, by the way, so do something like that, and then we'll do the same for the other one. We copy and paste it right here. The next one. This is the savings balance. At least then we give the user some idea what's going to happen. Okay, so we got that funded. Now this is the transaction. You put here a message or a comment like the program will run indefinitely until user exits. Okay, and then we'll quit. So basically we're going to put a loop here somehow. Okay, so we'll put here while loop, and I'll just put while true. I force it to be true. Once we exit out of that, then you just basically break out of the loop. You can also create a variable like continue or something like that, and then set to true, and then you set to false down in the middle of the body. That's okay too. But I'll use this approach, and once I put a while loop here, again, all of these here will be shifted to the right. Okay, so it goes like that, and it will decide when to shift back or not, because right now we want to make sure the program works. So it runs everything towards the end of the program. Right below here, we print the message. So this is where you would ask the user, do you want to continue or not? Okay, so let me collapse these, as you can see. Okay, so here, and then at the bottom of the while loop, I'm going to ask the user. So what do we ask? Just a simple transaction, right? So something like, let's see, put here, I'll just say choice is equal to input. What do we say? Say continue the program, right? Actually, no. Actually, we don't need to do that because the while loop already has a menu. I forgot about it. Right? We're gonna have a menu right here. So it keeps running until we quit. So we're gonna add here the input, another one, which is the Q for quit. I'll call it X for exit. Or quit. It doesn't matter. You can call it whatever you want. That's entirely up to you. But I'll call it X for exit. Okay. And then now once you press X, so if you go down here, I don't have it yet, but I'll put it right here. This will be elif. And then if transaction is equal to an X, and then we just put quit. We call the quit function, and then we're going to exit out of that. Okay, we break out of that program. The loop, breaks out, and then we quit. You can also do this. You can do that, or you can just break out and then call the quit function after the while loop down here like this. Okay, because outside the loop, by the time Once you exit out the program, then you can call it quit, right? So either way will work fine. So again, let's just test and see if this still works. Here we go. Now check and balance. Let's just put here 10, saving is 20, deposit to the checking. Let's just put $50 here, and you can see that it deposited, and then it keeps going back to the loop again, right? And I want to exit, so if I type X, and then here it did not work because I probably I did not get the X here. Yeah, that should actually quit. Let's just do one more time. Okay, so it actually prompt for a input, which is kind of weird. Not supposed to do that. We just kind of quit. Okay, so he quits and then put the message here nicely. All right. So that's working. All right, so that is working okay. So I'm going to put this back in here just so that it makes sense, because you want to quit message right away, and when you exit out, I'm not going to print it again down here. Okay, so then the transaction part. First, let's get the menu. This part here is the menu. I'll make it a nicer menu. Let's go up here. You're going to print a function, create a function. This is a helper function. I'll call it main menu. Takes no parameters, and I'll make it so that it has a new line. Give it some space, and then use the same idea up here. I'm going to pass this value down here, the top, and maybe the middle, and then at the bottom like this. Okay, I'm just putting that so I know what it is. And instead of the pound sign, I'll use the equal sign. So 30 across. This is the top of the menu. I'll put some message in the menu, and then the bottom of that main navigation. So in here, I want to put things like print with a tab, bank transaction. Okay, that goes on the top, and then the middle here is all my menu options. So print, I put a tab here for a V, okay, V, and then put another tab, and this would be the view account balance. So you get the idea, right? So the V, I did add here, I'm going to put a V, and how do I duplicate this? I think it's like Alt Control down. Yeah, Alt Control down duplicates your lines. So one is for the transaction, deposit, withdraw, transfer, and then exit. Okay, so those are your 5 menu options. So this is the deposit, the withdraw, transfer, and then the exit. So this is the exit, and then here just exit, right? This is a view. This is one here is the deposit, and then this is withdraw and transfer. Okay, I'm going to remove this. Actually, you're going to replace this with what I have up here. We'll see how that looks. I think that looks fine. It should be the same as the quit, the width of that. So when I do the transaction, I need to then load the menu right here. So instead of using this part, I'll replace this. Actually, no, I'll keep that. I'll put here the main menu. I call the function to load the menu, and then I get the transaction. Okay, so this part will be gone. But I still need to make that transaction. So really, this will be, how do I do this? It's going to be initiation of read the input, right? So you read the input. I need to select these. So what I had earlier was actually, I'll do this like this. Let's create a function. I'll call it get transaction type. Okay, and this function is going to return these transaction up here. So notice I did not put that inside the main menu, because main menu is supposed to just display the menu. So this one here, get transaction type. Good, takes no parameter, and it's going to return a type. Whatever the type is one of these, right? XVDWTX. Okay, so that here we're going to put here a transaction. What I showed down here earlier is going to be input. So notice again, I already showed the menu. After that, I just need to have them pick the option. So I'll put here, pick an option. Then you put an arrow here, just make it nice. And once I read it, it's either a WDVXT, right? I'm going to go ahead and strip any white spaces. This is for both trailing and leading white spaces. I'm going to grab just the first character and I'm going to uppercase it. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. And then now I need to validate the input. If it's not in any one of these options, then I'm going to prompt the user to keep entering that, right? So here I would say if transaction is not in the string of WD, VW, or DWTX, doesn't matter, I guess. If it's not in one of those, then I'm going to prompt, I'll call the function invalid entry. That's where the function comes into the picture because I keep doing that a couple of times. And then if it is correct, then I'm going ahead and just return the transaction. Okay, return it, and we're done. But remember, this has to be looped. So up here, you put a while loop. And you shift everything over like that. Right? So I need to create a function to display the invalid entry. I could have it so that it displays a default message if I need to, or you don't have to. It depends. It depends how you want to do it. You can make it flexible so that I can pass in, my custom message, right? I want to do that, right? So it's up to you. So that means if I do that, then my function, I can have a message here, and I'll set a default message. It would be something like invalid input. Try again. So if this is the default message, you can keep that. If you don't pass anything to it, you keep the default, you override it with something else. Okay, so you put here print, and I'll use the f function just to say like this /n, just a new line, some space, some asterisk, and then I'll put here the message. Oops, in the wrong one. And you exit out of that, and then again more dots, question like that, and then /n for a new line. So a very simple message display to the user. Okay, so let's see if this actually works. So save this and run again. So here we go. Account will be $10, $20, and here are my, okay, it's kind of bad. I forgot the T here. So if I put like an H, right, there's no input there for H. So as you can see, it loops that until I get it right. Okay, if I go ahead and do a D, notice again, the uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter in this case. I'm gonna do a withdraw into the checking account of $50, and then the program runs back to the main menu, right? Remember that the requirement is that as long as making the deposit, I have to keep asking the user to make the deposit, which I didn't do yet, before I head back to the main menu. But since I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and do an exit to quit the program. As you can see, this is not working, right? So somehow it's keep asking that question. It should not. It should just quit. So there's a bug there. So let's find out why that's happening. Okay, when I type X, oh, let's do this first. I forgot to put a T in here for the tab. So align them. When I type the X, I load the quit function, and I'm supposed to break out of that loop. Okay, once I break out of that loop, the while loop, let's see, why isn't that? Go down here. Yeah, I should just quit. Why is he asking for interesting. Okay, we'll have to figure out why it's not working. Okay, so now we got that transaction type. We check the checking with savings. This part, it's again up to you how we do this. You can do it up here, or you can put inside the deposit, or a couple of ways to do that. I will probably, let's see, we got the quit, and then we got the transaction. And if it's a D, then we're going to ask the what should we do here? Excuse me for a second. Okay, just need some water. Okay. All right, so deposit. So we need to ask, so up here I ask right away, but if we need to do a deposit, you want to be clear, right? Select account for deposit. With withdrawal, you want to say select an account for withdrawal and transfer and so forth. So this one doesn't really serve really well. And so what I'll do is think about, again, repetition, right? Again. I'm not going to like copy this, for example, move that in here every time. If I do that, deposit, I do a withdraw, kind of similar, but you see the redundancy here, right? So I do it 3-4 times. So instead of doing this way, I'm going to add a function to get this type of input. And you can create one to maybe just select the account. So we're going to copy what I have here. Okay, copy that. And right up here, we're going to create a function. I'll call it select account. Again, we're not adding any parameters here. All I'm doing is, well, actually, I do want to make sure that I select the correct account. So for a deposit, it would say select, select deposit, and then for a withdrawal, you will put something more meaningful. So I'm going to say, instead of select, I want to put something like, for example, let's just say deposit into, and then either checking or savings, right? So I want to do that when I make the transaction down here. If I go to make a deposit, then I want to do something like the amount, the account is equal to select account. Okay. And then which account is it when I call this? Because when I do this, I do down here as well for the withdrawal. I do here also for the transfer. How do I know which type is it? So this is where you add some data to this function. So this one here is for deposit. So maybe I'll put here deposit into. I'll pass that as a string right in here, right? And then I'll replace this with a text, and then right in here is what that unique text is going to be replaced with. So you can put that, text here like this, and you use that F function to format that, and just make sure you close. Yeah, I think that's fine, right? Okay, I'm going to do like I did above. I'm going to strip any white space, just pick the first character and then uppercase that. Okay, and then I'm going to validate that, right? So I'm going to say, just like above, I'm going to copy this. It's the same. Put it right here. So if the account is not in the S or C or CS, then it's invalid. Otherwise, go ahead and return the account. Okay, in this case, I'm not asking for the amount, right? Because I'm not doing the amount here. I'm just basically get the account type, either the checking or savings. But for what am I doing? I need to get the type of input, right? For that, either a deposit, transfer, or withdrawal. So I make that withdrawal menu as a deposit into that. And then this is what I do the amount. So you copy that, put it right here, enter the amount. So this whole thing now is removed. Okay. Deposit into, and then you get the amount. So I'm going to go down here, add the amount here as well. And for the withdraw, I would say the string would be withdraw from. Okay, I'll choose the from. You can make it different, and for the transfer, I'll say transfer from as well. So down here, I would say transfer from, and then that account, and you enter the amount and so forth. Okay, we'll see for now, right? It may not be here, but for now. So go back to our deposit right here. You know, another easy one is the view account, because I want to put up here. It's just nicer to put up here because less to code. So I'm gonna put here elif the transaction type is equal a v, then I'm gonna just put here show a function to show the balance, and then you just basically end there. Also, let's see if I show the balance. Yeah, I need to create that function. Okay, come back to later. I'll put that for now, but I'll put a passive for now. Okay, I'll come back to do later. So the deposit. So we got that account. Deposit, you enter the amount. And then we check, okay, if amount is 0. Yeah, this one here, we can leave it as is, or I'm going to move this into the process deposit, because this part is going to be processed inside the checking or the savings. Okay, so we're going to create a function to process the account. So here, I want to do with just basically this. I get the account. I'm not going to do any reading here yet. I'm going to go and go directly. I'm going to cut this out. Go directly to the account. If it's a checking, then I'm going to do something like this. I'll put a checking here equal to process deposit, and then this is the requirement, right? We pass the checking account to that, and the function will return the checking account back. Okay, so these two will be not needed for now. I'm going to comment that out. Control 1, I think. Yeah. Now we need to create a function deposit checking. So up here, a process deposit. We're taking the account. I don't care which account it is. All I know is that I receive an account. Then once you receive that account, you need to verify. You don't need to do that because you know already that it's going to be a checking account, a savings account, or what account it is, right? All you have to do is just to perform the logic. Okay, so this is why you do the read input here. So you read the account for the amount, you check if it's 0 or not, otherwise you put 0, okay? And then you add to the account. So this part down here, this plus right here, right? And you can, let me copy this now. We can take that out, okay? And we'll put it inside this function right here. So instead of checking, it'll be just the account. It's a generic account type, right? You update that account, you print has been deposited. Because you don't know checking or not, you could just say into, you could just say deposit into, I don't know, not checking anyway, into just a deposit, okay? Just like that. It's very generic. And then you're going to return the account back, okay? Return because we're not dealing with any global variables. So if you don't return it back, when I make the update, my checking account, which is local to the main function, will not be updated. That's why you need to make sure that that's been updated. The savings is the same thing. So this time I don't need this anymore, right? I'm just going to say savings equal to process deposit, and then pass in the savings account. There. So both my accounts are now taken care of, and this part is almost done. So once I make that deposit, then again, the rules is I have to keep asking if I want to continue here or not. Now, you don't want to put in here the loop. If you loop in here, then you are locked in to this account. If it's a checking, then you're locked into checking. You want to be able to select the checking or deposit as well. So you loop outside the transaction, right? So right here. Okay, so that means this whole thing needs to be in a loop. So have that over. Once I'm done, I'm gonna prompt the user for a if you want to continue or not, right? So I can say something like while true, I'll repeat because I need to validate input. So choice is equal to input. I'll put here another deposit. Put here like yes and no. And then you put like that. Again, I'm just going to put strip off any white space. Grab the first character only and uppercase it. So here, if choice not in while in, that means that it's invalid. So you put here invalid entry. Okay. Otherwise, you can just go ahead and continue. So up here, I put true and false here. You can do it this way, or you can just, couple ways, right? You can put here else if the choice is equal to a n. If that is the case, then you're going to break out. But how do you break out of that, right? How do you break out of that? Because you break out here, you only break out this loop. You're still locked in here. You're still going to continue. So doing this approach, you will have to get out of that loop. In other words, like this. If it's valid, and then you break out here, okay? And then this part is going to be outside of the while loop, like this. Okay, this whole thing here is just basically to validate the input. It has to be a y or n, cannot be any others. If it's a y or n, you break out this loop and then you check the choice here. If it's a no, I'm done, then you break again, you break out of this loop here. Okay, so you're done. That's what this one does. And again, just test it, make sure it works. Okay, just for the deposit. So let's see, put $10, 20, and then make a deposit. Put checking account, $20. Here we go. It says another deposit. We're here now. If I type a T, notice again invalid entry. Type again. If I put a yes, then it should take me back to another deposit. As you can see, deposit into, let's say, saving this time, $5. And now again, I'm gonna say no, and we're back to the main menu. Okay, so that's what this whole thing is for. This whole thing is just to make sure that the user is able to continue their transaction while they're still making that deposit. Okay, so this approach is fine. However you like it, that's okay. I'm going to change this a little bit using a different approach. So instead of doing this way, you could do this. Like up here, you can say transaction, say continue transaction is equal to true. You put that right here. You force that to be true. So here, then you can say if choice is true, then you can, if it's no, the long way, you can put a continue is equal to false. Right, that'll work, but it's just a lot of typing, right? It's redundant. So the only thing that is true or false is whatever this entry is, either y or n. So the shortcut to do this is basically you can replace this break with this line like that. Okay, you set the continue either true or false based on the y or n. So you can pick one. Say if choice is equal to a y, then it's true. And then you break out of that loop. So you break out this loop, it's going to go back to the while loop outside here. You check the continue transaction. If it's a yes, then this is true, repeats it. If it's a no, then it's false, then it terminates the loop. Right? So again, just to test, make sure it still works. Run, put 1, 2, and then deposit, saving $12. And if I type J, right, If I type in Y, it should continue, as you can see, as $5. Let's put it no, and then we're done. Exit out the program. Okay, so that's one technique you can use, and I'll keep it here for just for this one here. So the deposit is pretty much done. So the withdrawal will be kind of similar. I use a similar approach, okay? So I'm going to copy what I have here and add that to the withdrawal right below here, and then shift everything over like that. The bottom will be the same. I'm going to copy this whole thing right after the else clause. If it's checking or savings, then that, so it'll be right down here like this. Like that, okay? It's another withdrawal, right? Something like that. And then we can then, I think AW, I think. Yes or no, same thing. And it's going to go back here and continue or not. So same thing, this amount here, I don't need that anymore. But it'll be very similar to the one above here. Notice we continue, we get the account type, we pass in the function, the parameters, we come back. And if it's a checking, they will put here checking equal to process withdraw. Okay. And I put here checking. Just like above. And then this will be the savings, right? So this part here again, we'll copy this for now. It will move into the function called process withdraw. We take one parameter, just like the one above. The account, put that here for now. We read the amount, so I'm going to copy this whole thing. Put it here. It's the same process. And then if the amount is less than, not checking, but the account is the generic account now. And then just say account with withdraw. I don't specify the account in this case. Okay. And then otherwise it's sufficient fund. And then we're going to go ahead and then return the account back. All right. I think that is, yeah, return it back. Let's do that so I have some space in here. The amount, let's do this. So it makes sense. I like to be consistent with my layout. Here too. Doesn't matter, I guess. Yeah, I'll fix it later. All right, so we got that, and then yeah, let's change it. Let's be consistent. So we got the process coming back, and then the saving will be the same. Copy that, put it here. So this whole thing I don't need anymore. Put it here. Now you can see it's much shorter. This is the savings account. Just kind of copy and paste, okay? And then we did all that. We got our transaction done. We come back out. Do you want to do more withdrawal? Yes or no? And then repeat the whole thing. Right? So again, save, just make sure it works. Go ahead and run. And let's try 10 and 20. Let's do a withdrawal. Check an account. Let's put $1. What's withdrawn? More withdrawal. Just say yes. Go from the checking account. Let's put here $50. It should be invalid by insufficient funds. And then you keep adding withdrawals, right? And I'm done. So back to the main menu and then exit out. So that works perfectly. And then the transfer will be the same, right? So again, this whole thing, I'm going to copy this, go down here. After that process, I'm going to put the continue on the top, right above the account. And then I'm going to shift everything. Yeah. Over one tab. Okay, so we don't need the amount. Okay, this logic is going to be inside that function. So when I take that out, and the function will be, you need to pass two things, right? The checking, the savings, and it's going to be a process transfer. The checking in this case will be the source. This destination is the savings account, right? So let's go ahead and write the function up here. If it's hard to go up and down, you can also do this, right? Where are we? Right here, right over here. You can just go ahead and write the function right here if you want to, like here. So you can see, I need the source account, the destination account, and then you put that information here. Okay, so the source, if the amount is less than equal to source, then the source is be deducted, right? The destination will be plus. Okay, just make sure you do it right. I didn't read the amount. I need to read in the amount. Okay, I missed one. So let's copy one of these guys. Enter amount. Okay. So in here, what I had earlier, you put that here. Okay, read the amount, and then what's transferred, and then sufficient funds, and then finally you're going to return both of them. So return the source and the destination. Okay, circles right back the source destination. Make sure you do it right. If it's the savings account, then you're going to add here. You're going to swap the two because now the source is coming from the savings and then it's not the checking. So the order here is different. Just make sure you got that taken care of. So now if it's working, then you know, you're fine. It should run, even though I have the function here, okay? Because you can nest functions. So again, just test to make sure it's working. Go ahead and run it. I'm going to go ahead and put 10, 20, do a transfer from the checking. Let's put $5 into the savings and then just put no here. You see that the account is deducted by 5 and we added 5 to 20, so we get $25 from the initial account. Okay, so that's perfectly works fine. And then now once it's working, we're gonna move this whole function, cut that out and move it outside. And then highlight the whole thing and then shift tab. There we go. We got our function to do that transaction for us. And now code is getting leaner and leaner, I think, right? And not as lean as you would like to, but it's still leaner. You can make it leaner if you want to. So basically, we got everything done here. Okay. So this part right here, this part is going to be inside that print balance. Okay, so we have a function called show. I think I call it show balance. Show balance up here. And I'm going to pass in both accounts, the checking and savings accounts. Okay, and let's remove that. So up here, I'm going to have a function show balance, taking the checking, savings, and put that in here. All right. So this part here, I'm formatting the output. Oops, sorry. I'm formatting the output to look nice so that I can print it down here. Okay, which is fine because I want to be, you know, right justified. That's what this means. This whole thing here, the amount, colon, and then the angle bracket 50 means like accumulate, reserve 15 spaces and then right justify. This is a left justify, okay? So just for outputting stuff. But I'm gonna make it a little different because one of the requirements is that I need to create a function called get balance. So somewhere down here, I need to have a function like get balance. And I take an account, or I get the account, and I'm gonna do is just basically No, not, I'm sorry, not get balance. We already got that. It's the print balance, right? Print balance. And we're going to print this, each of these account here. Notice I did both here together. So this account print balance is supposed to do only one thing and one thing only. It's supposed to print the balance. So let's say that we're going to do a, I'm going to copy this, okay? Copy one of these, put it right here. And then I'm going to print that account. So put here F tab, and then we'll put this will be account, not checking. Checking is equal to checking. And format that using this approach. You can do either way, it's fine. If you don't like that, I don't like that one. Let's use the other approach. Let's do this way. The F, and then account, right? Colon, and then comma separated, decimal, 2 places. Okay, and then you wrap that inside here, and that's it. So tab, and you put here again dollar symbol, the account, and then I want to be let's put 12 instead of 15. Let's see what happens. And then I need to close that like that. Okay, so this is the print balance. So that means when I print the account, I don't need to do this. Okay, because I have this function printed for me when I run that account. I will use the same heading as one I used above for the menu. I'm going to go copy my menu, this whole part here, this whole thing basically. Yeah, copy that, put it down here. I should move this up actually, like that. And we'll put here not bank transaction, but we'll put here bank account balance. And we're just going to remove that. Okay, so we have the top bar. I'm going to separate this, easier to see. And then this is the last line at the bottom. And okay, so I don't need this whole thing here. So in between, I'm going to call the function. I'll print a message tab. I'll call it checking, and then I'll put the account here. I do one the same for the other one. So here, print balance. You pass in the checking account. Okay, I'll copy this, and you do the savings account. Put here the savings account. All right, let's see what that looks like. And let's see if it's working. I don't know. Let's find out. So I want to show. Actually, I have to quit first. Okay, let's do it again. So we go. The amount will be that, and then let's do that. I'm going to view the balance. Okay, so it's up here, right? You can see it. It's showing right here, checking, but it goes to the next line. I want to show right over here on the right side. So I want to remove that carriage return after the checking here, okay? And you can see the comma separated is right justified, it should be. And so let's fix that by going to the print function, put here, and you override the end attribute, you put a empty line like that, okay? Or double quote, it doesn't matter, okay? That means remove the carriage return. That's all it is. And then we're gonna continue from the next line, and then after this print function, and we print down here, we're gonna carry the return, and then we have in alignment. Not only that, I'm gonna put another maybe put another white space down here, I guess. Just give me enough space to make this look nice. Try one more time. I'll quit first, and then here we go again. I put some numbers, and then to view. Here we go. Right. Oh, I forgot a tab here. So as you can see, it's much nicer. I probably should put a tab here after the savings. I probably forgot to do that, or something must have happened there. Maybe my number was too big. Okay, so the bank with a T here. And notice that when I run the app, it goes really fast. It shows the balance back to the main menu again. So I was like, oh, where'd it go? I have to scroll up. So I normally like to do is you put a pause right here after I show the menu. I mean the balance. I want to pause here, and then you hit enter. You load the main menu. Okay, so you can do something like right here. Maybe I put a function pause screen. I just put an input. We're just gonna read it off, okay? So something like press any key to continue, and you put like dot like that, right? So after I load the after I view the account, like right here before I quit, after I show that, I'm gonna put a pause screen here. It pause for a second, or until I press enter and it goes back out. All right, so here we go. Do it again. So I put a balance. Let's put 1,000, and then 2,000, 20,000, and then the view. Okay, so notice again my screen pauses, right? So I can see the account. Yeah, I really need a tab down there, and then it waits until I hit enter, and it shows the menu. Okay, so that just adds some nice feature to it. That is all. Okay, so when I showed the account, somehow it's not giving me that. Is it because I have too little white space? I don't like that. See, when I print, I put a tab here. That should be plenty already. I don't know. See up here, checking. Yeah, just a design, okay? If I enter a small number, like that, then oh, it's still not tab. Okay. I'm gonna put a tab after the savings. Maybe because I did not have enough space here. I don't know, one character over maybe. Like that will do the trick. Yeah, this thing really bothers me as a coder. Okay, just so you know, I like it to be kind of perfect. Okay, so yeah, that little fixes it, right? The white space. It makes it nicer. So I think we're almost done here. We got everything already in place. I got, yeah, so we got everything in place already. Yeah, pretty much that's what we need for this assignment, all the functions. But you can see as you look at my code, you see some redundancies here, okay? So this part and this, right? And this is all the same, okay? This is also kind of similar, right? From here to here and here to here, you can see almost identical. So you can think about refactoring this to make it a little bit even better, okay? So another way you can refactor, make it nicer, to remove these, especially this part here, it's the same thing. And again, is to move that into a function. And maybe add a function. We're gonna add a function here. Let's cut this out, okay? We'll add a function. I'll just copy that up here. I'll put a function like continue transaction. And we add a text. We want to make that unique or not. Let's see, continue transaction. Yeah, because do you make another deposit, make another withdrawal, right? So we want a text message to be unique. But up here, we could basically paste that in here and then move that over like that. So another deposit, another what it is. So so in this way, you can move this whole thing out into, because each of these is unique. into constants. Okay. And then so for now, I'm going to replace this whole thing with the text. Right? What do I pass to it? It's going to be yes or no only. And then the entry here, I'm not going to say this anymore. I'm just going to return it. Okay. So we don't do any break here. If it's valid, then we basically return the choices equal y or not equal y. So true or false. So this one here, as you can see how it phrases continue transaction, question mark, right? Either yes or no. So you return a Boolean value. Then down here in my saving, the deposit here, so this whole thing, right? I need to know whether I should return or not. I still need to check the break or not because I need to continue the loop here. So you can do something like this. Oops. Oh, what I do? Okay, go back down here. Right, it's going to do right here. I'll do a continue transaction. Pass in the message. What message is it? This message right here. So this message will go inside the string. Okay, I pass the message over, and it's going to return back true or false. So you could do like choice equal that, and then right, just like before, because we already checked, we already verified. When coming back, it's true or false. I could do that, or I could just do this. Continuation is equal to that, right? This whole thing will be done because coming back true or false. And this is actually kind of bad because notice how I did it. I used a function as opposed to a variable name. I'm replacing that variable name there. So this is kind of bad how I did here. It's redundant, right? Okay, so therefore my function should be different, and then I should do a little bit differently. So now to refactor this part, I just show you one here, and you can replace the bottom if you need to. Okay, so this part can be refactored by doing this, put true here, and then when they come back, right, you can check to see if this is true or not. I can say if not continue transaction, then that means don't do it, I'm done. Okay, so this whole thing will be removed, and then this is redundant, so I can just do so I could just replace this whole thing with this function and remove this. Okay, what happened here? What did I call it? Continue transaction. Turns true or false. Turn true or false. It's not liking my. I don't have a it's not a variable anymore. Why is it thinking it's a variable name? Closing scope in the line with 200.347. Yeah. I'm not sure why thinking it's not a variable, it's a function. Did I do it right? Continue. Make sure I got it right. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing that. Let's see. Okay, so again, X out again, 20, and then put deposit. Okay, checking $5. Oh, okay. So it not continue. Can access local variable continue transaction. Ah, that's not local variable. It's a function. It's thinking it's a local variable. Let's see again. Is it because I have these here? Let me see. If I turn all these off, I'm just making sure that why is it causing the error? Yeah, because I'm using a local variable here and it's causing the problem, okay? So if you can see, if I turn all these off, then you're going to see that the error goes away because it's causing that. So that means I could not just leave it like that. So, well, in this case, let's do this. Let's remove that. We'll put here true. Okay, remove that. True. And then this whole part would be that. And this will be just that as well. Now it yells at me. Why does it do that? Indentation. Duh. Okay, so here we go. It forced me to do that because it's local variable. So here is one version, and I will say the other version, I will undo it, save the other version back as well to kind of give you an idea how they work. So one approach is like this. And I'm using functions to shorten my code because it's repeating. But notice again, the text, it should say not deposit down here, another withdraw, another transfer. Okay. So it makes sense, right? Otherwise, it will not make sense. 10, 12 with deposit, checking. Let's put $4. Now deposit, yes. Savings, $5, and then no. And then let's go to the withdraw from checking, $5. Another withdrawal, you can see it's working nicely. No. And then we do a transfer, and then transfer from checking to savings, that's $4. And then no here. And finally, we do the view, and then we do the checking information, and then we exit out the program. Great. So there you go. One solution to this exercise. Now you can go even further because all these X, V, and D, and C here are confusing. What do they mean? Okay, why do you need them? Why are they even here? And that is we have constants coming to the picture, okay? So I'm going to refactor one more time, and then we'll be done with this one. So first, let's go and create a list of constants. We're going to gather these, and I'll put here for now. I'll move it up. So here will be like transaction types. I'll put here, I use the W underscore for just to say that these are constant, but also private, right? Not really private, but just to distinguish them from other variables. I'll put here a letter V. Okay. This is the deposit. Then the letter D. And then I'll duplicate this. This is the withdraw. This is the transfer. You can't see it there. And I have one for the exit. And you have the checking. And you have the savings. Okay, so these are your single characters, right? So W, this is the T, this is the X, exit, C for checking, and S for saving. Okay, so now the view account balance here. Go down here. Want to do the view, replace that here. Okay, my savings go into the S, where all the S's are. I don't have any here. I don't really use it in this case, so it's not really matter because I'm using checking. So instead, I should just ignore this one here. The checking is used. Here is the checking, and here is also the checking, and down here too. So now you see it's all variables. And then we do a deposit for the D, And then we have a withdraw for the W. Maybe move the white space here. And then the X will be the exit. Okay. So you can see now we don't have any hard coding text except for these. So another set, right? Another set of constant, you can add more to it. So I'm gonna go up here, add another group of constants. These will be transaction messages, I guess. Put here, continue deposit, put the message, another deposit. You just copy and paste this. Okay, so we got that one there, and then duplicate, continue withdraw, and then we have continue transfer. I'll copy it down here. Well, yeah, just type it. It's easier now. And then this is the transfer. Okay, so, and then down here, we're gonna go and copy these down here to the deposit. No, right here. This is the deposit. And then this is the continue withdraw. And then we have to continue transfer. There we go. Yeah, and I'll leave these as if for now. You can add if you want to, but those are the things that you can manage in one place up here, and then you can move this all the way to the top. Okay, so just they don't belong here, all the way to the very top, like right below the information here. You can put here I don't know, you can call it constants. I guess you can call it constants. Just put a bunch of like other messages here, whatever, until you like it. Okay, constants, and then all of these will be your functions. Okay, so again, just separate these out, make it kind of nice, and your function begins here. And you can move this around, arrange it, put comments in here as well. I did not put comments, but you should put comments in here, explain what this one does. I'll do one example for you so that you kind of understand what that one does. So for example, the gap balance, like this one here, right? So gap balance, you put here something like reads initial balance from console, and then you're going to reject negative values, right? Balance and set to 0, and then you're going to return it. So here it returns the account. Okay, so that's what this one does. Okay, and then here is just display main menu, and the same thing. If you return something, you have to say return the transaction, return something, so the user knows, and so you also know what's going on here, right? I think that's all I have for this one. So I know it takes a long time, but you can see how I walked through the whole process of converting that into functions and loops, many loops in here, and I also went back and refactored the code and so forth. Okay, so I think that is all. So thank you. And you have any questions, feel free to post your comments or shoot me an email and let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you so much.